How's it going? My name is Max with Max Welds. I've been commissioned to make a bull that is bucking, so I'm going to try to make it around 18 inches or so. Let me show you how I do it. I typically start out with a side profile drawing. This allows me to get my proportions correct and the posing that I want. I then pick a few pieces and I lay them out directly onto that 1:1 scale drawing so I can find out what everything looks like. Then it's all about manipulating and modifying the current pieces to make them work for the sculpture. So I'll cut, bend, heat, and work the metal the way I'd like it so that it turns into exactly what I want. I use multiple tools like an angle grinder or a bandsaw to get specific kind of material cuts. Then it comes down to welding it all out. So I will start with a few key pieces, get that kind of edge profile squared away. So I'm doing the hump in the back and the back spine. And then it's all just building everything out from there. Next is the legs. You can see how those came together. This is a little stand that I made. So I welded to that plate, which has a rod and a cylinder holding it in with a set screw. So I'm able to weld it to that and then rotate it, then lock it to whatever position I need when working on small sculptures. Sometimes I have to heat some tools up to bend them to the right shape. Often pieces come from the scrapyard, so they're rusty, oily, and greasy, so I have to clean them up as well. Now I am manipulating an old wood auger bit to turn it into the main piece of the tail. These pliers are for the lower belly portion to define that starting shape. Now I am starting to define where those back legs go by starting the haunches and the back muscle. I often see specific shapes that I want within tools that I have, so I will pull these pliers apart and use them as a base of the back legs. I am constantly referencing the hand drawing that I made to make sure I get the scale, position, orientation correct. So I have these large washers, and I just need to give them a slight tweak to let them have the right shape to be kind of the muscly part of the back legs. Now it's all about using lines and specific shapes to fill out any voids that I have, since I have the rough shape of the bull. So I'll be using some small nails, tweaking them, and then filling up all the contours. Sculptures like this are pretty much a 3D jigsaw puzzle where you get to make all the pieces and you don't know what the puzzle looks like. So here I am just laying everything out and seeing what works. Part of the process is figuring out what needs to go where. I often have a whole bunch of scraps. This bucket is one that I keep in, and I dig through to find out what shapes would fit certain voids, or that I want to incorporate in these pieces. One of my favorite reasons why I work with metal is because it's not just additive or subtractive. I'm able to manipulate the pieces as I like. I can heat them up and bend them, I can weld them, I can grind them, I can truly sculpt with this material. I ended up finding a better piece than just these nails placed around, so I'm going to cut them off and add that in. I am reusing the handles of the forks that I used, and I'm going to grind these down to make the horns. I like to use nails for hair or fur on my pieces. It gives the shape and volume of individual strands without having to put hundreds of little strands out of thin wire for the sculptures. I weld the nails in the general shape and location of where I want them, and then I will take a torch and I will manipulate them to be in the perfect position.
Now that I have most of the key features done, I wanted to focus on the face. Typically, this is the most important part of the piece, as it's the most recognizable feature of these types of animals. So you'll see I'm adding a boatload of material on, and then I will grind and file it down to get the exact profile that I like. I love adding subtle features like indents for the nostril holes, which just tie everything together for the face. I used to have a really hard time making hooves. Then I found this little trick where you take a small pipe, cut a 90-degree angle, 45, 90, and then you have the perfect hoove shape. I found this nice round piece of plate metal from the scrapyard, and I'm going to use it as a base. Now it's time to cut it off our mount and prep it to weld to the base. I don't want large welds by the hooves, so I'm going to locate them on the front of the face, flip it over, drill holes through the entire face so I can fill the weld in from the base of the foot to have a cleaner look. Taking my time with the drills, making sure I have nice clean holes, and stepping up through multiple bits. Now I need a quick tack weld to make sure everything is in the right placement, and then I will flip it over and fully weld the base. A quick cleanup with the wire wheel, and this bad boy is done.
Alrighty guys, looks like we wrapped up the bull today. Really pleased with how everything's looking with the pose, all the feet, and the hooves and everything. So hopefully the client is just as happy as I am on this. Thank you for watching, and I'll see you on the next one.